Play and Trade Guitars is giving away this Gibson Custom Shop Les Paul to one of you. How to enter? Subscribe to Play and Trade Guitars on YouTube, and we'll give it away when we hit 50,000 subscribers.
In 1950, the world changed with the Broadcaster, which would quickly become the Telecaster, and guess what? Gibson was chasing them with the Les Paul right behind it in 1952, 1953. Today, I'm here to talk about the Telecaster versus the Les Paul. It's all in fun, but I'm going to tell you reasons why the Telecaster truly just might be the greatest guitar of all time. How can you get something so right, so well out of the gate? And I figured what better way than to road test them and take them out to a gig and play them and see which one really resonated, and then to ask you to weigh in and say which do you think is the better guitar. I'll give you my reasons, you can share yours, and yes, don't get me wrong, I love the Les Paul, and guess what? You've got to own both. At the top, if you're in the market for any new gear, click to buy using our link. We've got a link that makes it easy for you to buy any new gear that you need, and that supports our channel directly. So thank you to all of you who have done that. Yes, for real, we're giving away a Gibson Custom Shop Les Paul when we hit 50,000 subscribers, and that is right around the corner. All right, without further ado, let me kick off my reasons for why I love the Telecaster over the Les Paul. Number one, a big reason, durability and construction. I just had a Telecaster fall over in my basement, and guess what? It was fine. Not so much with the Les Paul. I sweat just looking at my Les Paul on a floor stand because it makes me so nervous, and I have broken at least 2 Gibson headstocks in my life, and it's never a good day. Now, both the Telecaster and the Les Paul are known for their range of dark and bright tones, but here's where I'd split it off. On a Les Paul, I would say it's bright to dark. And on a Telecaster, the way I would describe it is bright to mellow. And it has some darkness, but it always retains a round, warm, mellow character. Has more of a versatile range of sounds in my opinion than the Les Paul. And the mix of tones that you get when you step out of bridge and go to middle position, I don't think the Les Paul middle position is all that usable compared to one of my favorite sounds on any guitar, the middle position on a Telecaster. It gives such a punchy, percussive sound. It almost reminds me of a drum. I just love scratching a rhythm on it, and it's so distinctly Telecaster, and it's absolutely one of my favorite tones. When we talk about neck pickups, it's so hard to beat the beautiful sound, mellow sound of a Telecaster neck pickup. It sounds phenomenal. I like single coil neck pickups in general. That's another one of my favorite sounds. But talk about a guitar that can go from screaming chicken picking to warm, beautifully full-bodied jazz. And yeah, Les Paul is versatile too, but it's more of, I think, bringing a hammer. Whereas, you know, a Telecaster is bringing just something with a little bit more finesse and wide-ranging sound options. Also, because of the construction, it's easier to customize the Telecaster. Because it's modular, you can change the neck, you can change the pickups, you can change pretty much whatever you want without having to rebuild a set neck guitar like the Les Paul. I already said how it's more fragile. Well, it's also a lot less modular, right, than the assembly line style Telecaster, which will really let you dial in the mods. And if it's not single coils you want, no problem. Then put a humbucker on your Tele. You don't want 2 humbuckers, put 1 in neck, or put 1 in bridge and a single in neck. You want to add a third one and do like a Nashville Deluxe, then add 3 pickups and make it more of a Strat than a Telecaster. It's just endless. And then also one of my favorite pickups, Gibson style P90s. You want to put that on your Tele? No problem either. Even one of my favorite configurations, the Cabronita, which has T.V. Jones pickups on the Telecaster. And I think you can just see, for a guitar that they got right out of the gate, there are so many versatile tonal and pickup options to do that it just continues to put the Les Paul in a little bit more of a box in my mind. I love the Les Paul sound. It really does that thing. Yeah, you can do the P90 sound on it too, but in terms of versatility, there's far more pickup options probably to bake into the Telecaster, and I love it for that. In fact, many of the new Telecasters that you buy now will already be routed for a humbucker under that plate in neck position. Across both guitars, I love the simplicity of just having 3 switch options. I actually do prefer the Les Paul style toggle switch, especially up on the upper left bout, compared to the 3-blade switch on a Tele, kind of down and you have to reach across the strings. I prefer the Les Paul there, but I will give it to both of them here. I love a simplistic list of options when it comes to tones. I really only ever need 3, and both of them do that beautifully. Something else I was thinking about was the fretboard material. Now, traditionally on a Les Paul, you're going to be looking at rosewood, or, if you look at a Les Paul Custom, you'll be looking at ebony. And occasionally they've actually made Les Pauls with maple fretboards as well, but they're very rare. Here's the thing, when you look at the Telecaster, yeah, it started out as maple, which is that classic snappy Tele tone, and then they added rosewood. But if you go looking, you can find a Telecaster with pretty much whatever you want on the neck, from a solid piece of rosewood to actually a slab of ebony. I actually did an American Elite Tele with a slab ebony board, which is amazing. And again, not only the fretboard material, but the neck material. And where I can also kind of prove to you that I probably like the Telecaster most is that every time I've encountered a Les Paul that has a maple neck, I end up liking the sound more. So there's something that's tuned into my ears where I just prefer the sound of a maple neck, I think. And the Tele obviously checks that box. Then when it comes to tone woods and the body woods itself, ash, alder like they make them today, you really can't find an ash Telecaster in current production at Fender anymore. Even pine bodies. Drop a comment and let me know. Have you ever made or seen a Telecaster with a mahogany body? I'm not sure if they've done that, but my guess is they probably have. Because moving over to the Les Paul, of course, it's traditionally going to be that mahogany body with the maple cap. And that's a great configuration too. It has its sound, but it doesn't, to me, have quite the punch of a good ash or alder Tele with that maple neck. And to me, it mellows it out a little bit more, which I like, with the rosewood slab. So that's kind of my ideal, and that's why my go-to has been my mid-80s MIJ Tele, rosewood slab and alder body. Here's something else to think about. The Telecaster has been in continuous production since 1951. Compare that to the Les Paul, which was a commercial flop and actually discontinued for quite a long time, and even redesigned entirely into the SG. But until the Les Paul had a resurgence of popularity, it was getting beat by Fender. I think there's more people that play Telecasters than Les Pauls these days. You can tell me if I'm right or wrong, but just surveying the scene, I see an awful lot of Fender out there. Also, another perk of a Telecaster, it's more affordable. It's not set neck construction with all the extra bells and whistles. It's modular, so you can get a good Tele, even an MIM Tele, a player series that feels great. Heck, you can get a classic vibe Tele that feels and sounds amazing now for under 500 bucks. Let's talk about those tone knobs. The Les Paul's got 2 tone knobs. I don't think they're all that great. The Tele has 1 tone knob that gives you sweet perfection wherever you use it. I think because of the darkness of the Les Paul, as soon as I start rolling off the tone on a Les Paul, I get a distinct Les Paul toned down tone, but it's not as usable, in my opinion, as that beautiful mellow toned down sound on a Telecaster, especially in neck position. Reflecting too on the body itself, here's the thing. You can chamber a Les Paul, you can weight relieve it, but it's going to be heavier. Let's remind ourselves here that one big advantage of the Telecaster, it's lighter than the Les Paul. When you're playing 3 hours or more on stage, that makes a big difference. If you want to go the further step of having a chambered guitar kind of to the max, they make an ES style Les Paul, which if you haven't seen that is really cool, but basically it's like a semi-hollow Les Paul. That is really cool, but that does not sound nearly as good to my ears as the THINLINE Tele, which is super iconic in terms of its looks and sounds. And like I said, I think a standard Tele, you can already make it sound a little bit like a 335. I don't exactly know why, but I know I can do it, and I love that sound. And then you can go even a little further in that direction if you get a THINLINE Tele, which I think is just such a cool combination for a Tele. Here's some Teles I bet you didn't even know they make. A double cut Telecaster, because I was thinking to myself, well, one of the cool things about a Les Paul is that they do a double cut, and I love that. And I was like, they couldn't possibly have made a double cut Tele, have they? Of course they have. They even make an offset Telecaster. It was actually a Squire Paranormal, I think 2020. How about the Elite Tele? It reminds me kind of the Les Paul Custom. If you look up the Elite Telecaster from the early 80s. I'll give a passing mention to one of my favorite, that really cool, I think 1968 Paisley Tele. And if you want something really wild, check out the 80s. Of course, they were doing crazy stuff. And you can check out the HM Telecaster with a pointy headstock and Floyd Rose and the whole deal. You also got the Nashville Deluxe Tele with 3 pickups. You've got the Acoustasonic Tele, don't forget about that. That was popular for a while. And think about the Telecaster Deluxe from the 70s. That's got a Strat headstock on it, not just any Strat headstock, that big fat 70s headstock, which I think looks awesome. And I'm sitting here talking about the Les Paul and the Telecaster, and you want the perfect marriage? Check out our video on the Telecaster Deluxe, because that basically is a Telecaster dressed up as a Les Paul. And maybe my answer to all of this is that the Telecaster Deluxe is the perfect blend of both. Awesome guitar, check out that video. I had an Aztec Gold Cavernita, one of my absolute favorites, with TV Jones pickups, and P90s. Remember, they had the Noventa Telecaster with a single P90. The Les Paul is a classic, no doubt. I love the Les Paul, you've got to own one. But just looking at the list of guitars that have been made since 1950 from Fender with the Telecaster, it has been the tried and true guitar with a lot of staying power, and the Telecaster is just absolutely phenomenal. Drop a comment and let me know if you agree with this assessment, or do you think the Les Paul is better? Tell me why in the comments, and tell me what the favorite guitar is in your collection. My Telecaster, at the end of the day, I grab it because I trust it. And at the end of the day, I want to trust a guitar that I'm taking on stage. And I absolutely love my Telecaster. Thanks for watching this list of reasons I've been really digging my Telecaster over the Les Paul. I guess you could call this, if I could only have one guitar, I'd probably pick the Telecaster, and there's some of the reasons why. I just love the sound of it. Thanks for watching. Check out one of these videos. Make sure you're subscribed to win our Gibson Custom Shop Les Paul. I'm gonna miss that one. Like this video, and check out our purchase link for gear that's down in the description. See you in the next Playing Trade Guitars video. Take care.